I'm here because Bob invited me, and I get a chance to share with people the concepts that I talk about a lot, which is to build relationships, to really establish, then build, and then to maintain relationships by leveraging technology. Using technology, we can do so much more today to really connect with people, and I think it's just wonderful. It's really, in many ways, it's more exciting to be alive today than any other time in history because of what we have with the technology and the advancements that we've made. Well, I'll give you a good example. I use a lot of video. And so in using video, now what we can do is we can connect with people on a dimension and on a communication level that we haven't been able to do before. When we have video and we can do it for free, this is really good. By the way, is free in the budget for you? If it is, that it's good. We can do that like over Skype, for instance, or Uvu, or some of the Fring or other kind of technologies. Skype is one I use a lot. I was the former chief enterprise blogger for Skype, and I got a chance to work with some of the wonderful people there and see some of the great technology. With that, now we can do something that couldn't do before. We not only can talk to people, but we get a chance to see vivid images clearly of who they are, what they're doing. For communication, it's incredible. The educational components of it are dynamite. You can find the best instructor on whatever it might be. You want to learn about Oogie Wobbers? Well, then Oogie Wobber, get the best Oogie Wobber instructor wherever they might be. I think Outers Labuvia is where they live. You get them over there, you bring those people in through video, and you can take it to, say, a rural community where they couldn't afford that before, and now you can train the students there on whatever it might be. It's a real good example. Suppose you need to learn German, and they can't afford a German instructor. You can find a good German instructor wherever that might be and bring that directly to the students. Another way we can use it is in medical applications, so that, say, in an emergency situation, in a crisis, you can go right to that place. First responders would be able to be right there to clear away whatever's there, and they find people, and they find the people that are still alive. They need direct attention. By coming in early, you throw up a tower, get Wi-Fi access, and even WiMAX, which is like a much larger area. Now you've got access to the net, and they can walk in with small portable devices, and a medic on the scene can say, here's what's happening, look at that, and it's sent back to a medical team back at a university hospital where the experts are standing by, communicating to that medic what to do and save lives that way. So I think all of that blends together as the technology is now helping us to connect with people and to make our lives better today than ever before in history. Oh, I think the video is much more natural. It's realistic. That's the way we've been since we were children. We see people, we react, we watch the facial expressions, we see the smile. We see that if I go, you want to do that? And they're going, yeah, I'd like to do that. And that kind of facial expression, you and I both know, I go, oh, he didn't really want to do that. Whereas if you get just text, with straight texting, it says, yes, I want to do that. You go, oh, see, he said he wants to do it. You can read so much more into it. Plus, you also get the benefit of the audio, because you're hearing the inflection in the voice. You're hearing what people are actually saying. And I think video is just a powerful tool that we're only going to see increase. Matter of fact, what is it? They're saying by the end of 2012, this year, as we're recording this, by the end of this year, 50% of net traffic will be video. Cisco is telling us that by 2014, it'll be 80% of all net traffic. After a while, what happens is it's almost like you're right there. It's almost like you're right across the table, particularly now that we have HD. When we can use HD in our video, we've got good high resolution, either 720 or 1080, then we're going to get much better clarity, much better communication. And after a while, after we get past the, oh, what's the weather like where you are? Oh, fine, it's raining here. Oh, it's not raining there. That's okay. That's normal in human being communication. Human beings are like that. And when we connect with people that way, we can do a lot. And I see that with video, it's only going to increase the intimacy. And I guess personally, I have a feeling that if we can increase the communication between people around the world, and we can try to understand where they're coming from their point of view, maybe we'll do more business together. Maybe, here's a really wild concept, we won't be shooting at each other as much. We'll say, you know, I can't shoot at this guy. I just talked to him on the video. I saw him. I saw his kids, you know, these are real people. And we'll say, hey, maybe we need to go beyond that ancient thing of these people are bad. We get our guns here. We kill them. They kill us. I mean, nobody wins on that. But with video, we can help each other and have a much better world. At least that's my opinion. To show them the kind of opportunities they have in their business by taking video, like you're doing here. You're using video. It gives you the ability to take a message and bring it to life much more than you could with print. Nothing against print. I still read a lot of books, and we love that, and we always will. Whether we're reading it on paper, I think they're still using paper a little bit now, aren't they? In your time period, yeah. But well, oops, I shouldn't let that slip. You know, you're having it here in the paper. But when we get to all digital, and we're using that on tablets or tablets of choice or whatever the screen might be, then we're going to be able to use a lot more of that. We'll also use audio. Audio at times is a better communication medium than video or print. For instance, if you're driving from here to, we're in West Palm Beach as we record this, you're going to drive across the state to Tampa. You got about a 3-4 hour drive or so, depending on traffic. It's good to listen to some educational audio there. Uplifting, healing, motivational audio can be very helpful in that situation. Much better than video, particularly if you're driving. Not a handy thing to do then. And the reading, not a good thing either when you're driving. Legacy is I guess, the message you want to leave after you're gone, when we depart here and wherever we go or whatever happens. I really haven't been there, so I don't know. But I would say that it's important to leave a legacy so that the world is a better place, so that people coming afterwards can see what you've done, they can hear what you've done, they can read about what you've done, so that their lives can be better. Much like right now, we can profit from those that came before us, the wisdom of many people that much, much smarter than I am, and they were able to tell us what to do. Like I love reading John Stuart Mill, or John Locke, or Jean-Jacques Rousseau, and great minds like that. Thomas Jefferson, I mean, brilliant, wonderful people. One of my heroes, Andrew Carnegie, who came over and created wonderful wealth for people, which is one of the best ways to raise the standard of living. Create wealth, and by doing that, you raise the standard of living much more than we ever did for thousands of years as Homo sapiens running around the planet. I would say that's incorrect. I would say it's just faulty thinking. You're trying to calculate the equation incorrectly. You can have both. It's not either or. It's both and. So being spiritual, what that means, well, I go back to the concept that I think is very important. It's the values that you hold and how you treat people, what you're doing. That's what spirituality is about. It's being true to what you know is right. Nathaniel Brandon has done a lot of work on that and written a great deal of a body of work on it. And I think that we can also have abundance, and that abundance means not just money. Money is good. I mean, it's the way we do things today. But I think abundance means, yes, money, but abundance in health, abundance in relationships, abundance in feeling good and helping people. And there's something just really goofy about the universe I've never been able to figure out. But the more you give out and help other people, the more comes back to you. It's like you try, you go, okay, no, it's not going to work. Let me try more. I'm going to give even more. And whoa, look at all this good that's coming to me. And so it's just a wonderful thing that's there. And the more we can give to others in genuine, real value, the better off we are and the better off the whole planet is. Well, I think that comes back to basic influence and persuasion. You know, for me to say, you should embrace my opinion on this. I believe this about this particular issue, to try to beat it onto somebody isn't going to work. I think what you have to do is you have to start with commonality. You say, okay, what do you agree? You have to, here's a concept, listen. You know, what's the old thing? 2 eyes, 2 ears, 1 mouth. There's the ratio that we should use these. So listen to where people are coming from. Find commonality. Find those grounds where we agree, and then we can move from there. And I find that not only is it others changing, but I change. Because I've changed many times in my life from what I believe. I believe certain things really strongly, and I realize, after thinking about that, I wasn't quite so right on that before, and so maybe I need to move around a little bit here. But what we do is we base it on objective truth. What is it that's there? One of my other favorite authors, Richard Dawkins, a professor over at Oxford, and incredible ideas of looking at life as it is, seeing what's there. Christopher Hitchens, I think, did a lot of that too. To get rid of the mysticism and the things that we think are there just because we feel it. What I feel is irrelevant. What does matter is what exists. And reality has a way of biting us in various body parts and telling us that this is what's happening really, and we need to embrace that. The closer we can get to what is reality, the better off we'll live our lives. I guess it's for me, it's a continual fun thing every day. I mean, Gina could tell you this, as I wake up every day, it's like, okay, here's an exciting day. I haven't lived in this one yet. So let's see what's going to be there. And so what I find to do really helps is every day is I do three things, what I call SEM. Study, exercise our brain, learn something new. E, exercise. That means strength building, aerobics, stretching, good things like that. Then of course you go through medical professionals to make sure you're doing the right thing, not pushing too hard and not holding back too much. Get somebody who's a professional, understands this, to look at you. And then the M, meditation. Being quiet, prayer, find what works for you. For me, I enjoy meditation. I find that when I can do those three, the study, exercise, and meditation, I do so much better. And when I was not doing that before, I find sometimes it was a good day, but it wasn't quite there. But if I can do that, it's a good balance, a good rounding out. I mean, one of my favorite things to do is I get up in the morning. I like to get up around 4. I don't do that every day, but a lot of days I usually get up at 4 because it's quiet. Hey, even the internet's quiet then, it's okay, except for those folks over in England that are already up. It's 9 o'clock their time when it's 4 over in Eastern time zone where I am. But still, you can get a lot done, and I like to read. So I read a lot of books. I enjoy reading 2 to 3 books a day. I'm going through that. I took photo reading and learned, I can do that, and it's great. And do that on my iPad. It's fabulous. Then I like to go downstairs often on our treadmill at the condo, run 3 miles. So I figure 3 books, 3 miles, go for it. And then I read some studies about the developments and the physiological change that takes place in your brain when you meditate for 20 minutes. 20 minutes. And so I thought, well, wait a minute, I got 3 books, 3 miles, 23 minutes. So, throw the 3 in there and it's okay. But I find doing that helps me. And I would encourage each one that's watching the video to think about, okay, what can work for me? Study can be reading books, it can be listening to audio, going to seminars, those kinds of things. Exercise, there's wonderful ways you can do it. I like swimming, cycling, and then running. I find those 3 kind of bouncing back and forth really helps me. And we take care of the body, the temple that we have, because this is where we're going to spend, I think, the rest of our lives on this planet anyway. We'll be able to do that. And so being able to do those things helps better. I look back at my life and I think I've been able to do a lot, and I've learned certain principles. I've had a lot of things that happened to me when I was a child, some that were good, some that I wish were a little bit different. And so I build on those that were really good. And I think that I learned a good lesson there. That person helped me a lot. Other things I look at and go, boy, you really blew it on that one, Terry. Okay, don't do that again. You don't have to beat yourself up. You just look at it and go, let's not do that one again. Okay. And so life is a continual adventure, and each day it begins anew. Learning, we're learning every day. We're learning new things. Playing, hey, let's get out and play. Let's have fun. Gina and I do that all the time. I mean, we get out and play, and just sometimes it's called, hey, let's celebrate today. Why? Well, it's the 14th of the month. Okay, well, it only comes once a month, so let's do it. Or, we can do it this way. Or, wow, it's March the 23rd or whatever. It only comes once a year, so let's celebrate. So we do a lot of celebrations. And then I think that as we're doing that, we're able to grow much more also. We become more of the people that we want to be. And I think that's the real key, at least in my idea, of a successful life. Find out what really flips your cookies. Find out what makes you excited, what gets your juices going, and do anything you want to do in life. And I mean that literally. Anything, as long as 2 things are met, 2 conditions. Number 1, you take responsibility for what you do. And number 2, you don't harm anyone else. So take that responsibility, don't harm anyone else. Go for it and do anything. Now, I wish I would have said that first, but John Stuart Mill beat me to the punch. He stole that from me back in the 1800s. But I think if we follow that philosophy, we'll live life a whole lot better. I think they're intertwined. We've got to have that accountability that when you've done something, you've got to say, okay, hold it. How did you do? Let's come in here and let's look at, I mean, in business, I often say, imagine you got a bunch of those green eye shade and armband wearing guys, on the accountants, that's what they used to wear, you know, those kind of things. And they're looking at it going, okay, that's nice. In business, you did those things. You went to this convention. You went here. You did this advertising. Okay, that's good. I know you're excited, jumping up and down. How did that contribute to the bottom line? Did it help? Because in that realm, we have to look at those numbers, much like a medical professional has certain numbers that they examine. That medical professional will go, ooh, your blood pressure's here, you know, this level's here. When you go in and they check all fluid levels, make sure you're operating within normal parameters. You want to make sure that you're doing things. So metrics and numbers are very important. And so that accountability, I think, is very important. And the responsibility means that you have to be responsible for your life. You can't, like so many people today think, oh, well, it's not my fault because this person did this to me. Or they come up with excuses. They're rationalizing. It's time to take control of your own life and realize that you're responsible for what you do. You know, don't complain about this. Hey, that's your wagon, Junior. Pull it. You know, you've got to get in there, get with the program. And I think if we did that more, we'd be a lot better off as a society and as a world. Oh, they're critical. See, the integrity means you're going to be the person that you say. If you see someone on the stage and they say one thing, I see a lot of that. I'm a member of the National Speakers Association, and I see some wonderful, dear, dear friends that are there. I've also seen some other people that they're one person on the stage, they get off the stage and it's like, wait a minute, I'm sorry, you're different. What happened to that guy there on the stage? I want to see some authenticity there. I want to see that integrity. And we see that a lot, I think, with politicians. And I don't mean it in the U.S. in any one particular party. I see it the same thing now as we're recording this. You know, Barack Obama is the president here. We see David Cameron and what's going on over in the UK. I also see Judith Gillard over in Australia. They all mean well. But it's inevitable that eventually that pressure can start eroding, and you hear about things that when you were a candidate you didn't know about, and now you're in office and they're going, need to tell you about something that we couldn't say before, but if you do this, then this and this and this is going to happen. You go, oh my goodness, what am I going to do? And then the integrity starts eroding. And I think what we have to do is we have to step back and go, okay, stop. Maybe we need to change the mechanism. Maybe we need to find out what we can do and structure our society accordingly. It's a major change here, so that we can live in integrity, we can be responsible, and we treat people properly, never initiating force or coercion. Defend yourself, yes, but never initiate that force or coercion, which ties in directly with do anything you want as long as you're responsible and you don't harm another person. Yeah, I think the authenticity is an example. Don't do the things that are the easy way out. There's a lot of things that we can come across in life and we go, I can do this, it'd be very easy, I can make a bunch of money or something, but if it isn't in tune with your integrity of who you are, and it's not in tune with what you know really needs to be done, you can't do it. Because no matter what you do, even if you get away with it and people don't find out about it, you're still going to know about that. I mean, when you wake up, you're going to look in the mirror and go, ooh, that's not so good. I shouldn't have done that thing. And then it's going to affect you. So I think we have to live in our lives by a strong philosophy. And I've just told you my philosophy, it's pretty simple. Living life, doing whatever you want, don't harm anyone else, those kinds of things. And I actually run that by a lot of people around the world, many different countries. And probably the place where you find out the most truth about people, after a couple of beers. You know, after a couple of good drinks. You sit down, and I've done that. In Japan, after a few sake, I go, got an idea. What do you think there, Hashimoto-san? What do you think about this? If you do whatever you want, but don't harm anybody else. Oh, also, you know, and it works. You know, I go to Russia, you know, and I say, Vladimir, what's the matter with you? What are you doing here? What do you think about this? He goes, well, I think you can do it that way. I go, you think that's good? He goes, quarter show. Yeah, good. You know, so we do those things. And I think it's universal. The concepts of treating people properly are just universal. And for me, it's the way I live everything in my life. Even though in times when, like for instance, many times I'll get up and I got to do my running or something, I'm going, I don't want to run today. You know, I don't want to do that. And so what I'll do is instead I've got to say, come on, this is a commitment. You've made this commitment to yourself. You got to do something. Maybe you won't do everything. And of course, honor your body. If your body's going, ooh, you know, something's wrong with my knee or I'm hurting somewhere, don't be stupid and go down and run anyway. No, you work around that, but you do something to achieve those goals no matter what. Oh my, do you have 3 hours here? Well, my vision for myself is to continue to live life with integrity, live with responsibility to achieve greatness. Greatness, and for me, is helping a lot of people. It doesn't mean I want to become necessarily a multi-billionaire, although that'd be okay too. But I think because, and the reason is, not just because I mean, Gina knows this, I don't need a whole lot of things. Things are nice and all that, but I see so many people that need help. And a good way to do that is to have the resources, to be able to say, I want to solve such and such disease. I'd love to see that. The way to do it is if we can throw enough resources at it, not just lots of money, but good resources, we can accomplish that. Oh, not never a hand out. I think a hand up. Even in the most situations where people are really hurting, they still deserve the opportunity to get better themselves. I'm not a Mormon, but I know the Mormon Church uses that philosophy a lot. It's like you're in the hospital, they're going to be there to help you. They've got a wonderful welfare program that is within their own community. And I think it's admirable what they're doing. That even no matter how bad you are, you got to do something still. You might be in the hospital bed. You can't do anything. Here, we need you to make some phone calls to these people. We need you to do some work. I think too often in our society, it tears people down and it breaks my heart, where they just come in and they start with really good intentions and have very bad results. We have poured trillions, with a T, trillions of dollars into trying to help the poor since the 60s. And there's very little, if any, accountability. We just say, oh, just give more. Oh, just give more. Their eyes glaze over and the brain shuts down. What we got to do is say, no, we need to stop that and stop stealing money from the people that are productive. And we need to really help the poor. And the way we'll really help them is by doing it in a way that, say, for instance, I like the way the Salvation Army does it, or Goodwill. And I'm not a particularly religious person, but I like what they do in that they say, someone comes into the Salvation Army, and they say, okay, we're going to take care of you. We're going to give you food. We're going to give you a place to sleep. But that over there needs to be cleaned up. Here's a mop and a broom. Go over there and clean that up first. By the way, while you're here, no booze, no drugs. You got these rules you have to follow, and you stay there, we will take care of you. So there's responsibility versus a government, whether it's in Washington or Tokyo, Canberra, London, or wherever, and they just say, we're going to throw money at this, and it doesn't really help, and it actually harms people even more. So I think that goes back to those core values of individual responsibility and taking care of people. Vision for the world, peace and love, and high-speed bandwidth. I think that would be really good. And by the way, I'm not just joking when I say high-speed bandwidth, because it's like what Google is doing now. 100 gigabits of speed they've made a decision to give to Kansas City, the Kansas City area, and they say, hey, we don't even know what you're going to do with it. Have a wonderful time and come up with something that dazzles us. Come up with something that'll amaze us. We don't even know what it is yet, but we know if we give you that, maybe things like holographic images, maybe things like creating new dimension here can work. Maybe we can do these kind of things. One of the things I'm excited about, I'm on the board of directors and the Friends of the Library for the Orange County Library System up in Orlando. We are a library of the future for the American Library Association. They gave us that award last year. We just put in a new laboratory where people can go and publish their own books. They will be able to, musicians can come in that couldn't afford it before, now can start creating their own music. And we've got a 3D printing press. 3D. That means give me an object, we can duplicate it. This is like Star Trek stuff, the replicator, you know. Captain Kirk would do that. Well, Kirk didn't have it, but they did have it on Next Gen. So they could do those kind of things, and now it's like this is becoming reality. That's my vision of the future for the world. Because as we live in peace and we stop shooting at each other and throwing bombs, we sit down and we go, here's a concept, let me understand it from your point of view. Rather than running in going, we are the best, we will bomb you. Yeah, hey, watch it, you're a little country we haven't bombed lately. Ooh, let's go get it. Instead of doing that, we sit down and we say, maybe we shouldn't be doing that. Maybe we should be getting along with people peacefully. That would be a better way to do it, at least in my humble opinion. I do a lot of different things. For instance, I come to organizations that look at what do we do? How do we handle this thing? And I interact with them. I give presentations. So if they've got a convention or a meeting, or maybe they just need to solve some ideas, I come in often and work with groups and help them to look at, here's what's going on. Just a little while ago, I was talking to some executives that were in a particular industry. They were getting all kinds of change and they're very, very scared. They'd been in an analog industry with telephones, and now they're seeing things changing, people using smartphones, and it's changing everything, and they're scared. I said, no, You've got a lot of good. Look at what you already have in the real skills, not black phones with rotary dials. We don't need that anymore. But how about connecting with people in a local area? Oh yeah, we're good at that. Well, yes, now we need, and by the way, we need that for all these people that don't want to be over here and they want these kinds of things. They go, oh yeah. And so giving them hope. And then I do a lot of writing. I'm also the editor-in-chief right now for AT&T's Networking Exchange blog. So I've got about 100 geniuses around the country that are just wonderful people writing about things like cloud, mobility, security, social media. And I take that and show people in business who are really busy how they can start using that and implementing. Yeah, kind of give them ideas and kind of work with them to come up with ideas to solve problems so that I don't have all the answers, but by asking lots of questions, I think together we can be strong. It's like we say in Silicon Valley, none of us is as smart as all of us. My definition of vision, well, I guess it could be many different things. Seeing is one thing. I guess we talk to an ophthalmologist, they'd have one definition, but I kind of feel it's something that you envision, you want to happen. And it's a thing that might not exist right now. It's kind of within sight, but out of reach. And that helps us as human beings to stretch and to grow and become better people overall. That's what I think a vision is. And then as you share that with others, people see what they want to do, and they start saying, okay, that's where we're going, everybody, let's go for it. Kind of like Akio Morita did when he said, when he came up with the Walkman, he said, I want to get something where people can put music on with maybe, how about an audio tape? Okay, got the technology of their day, that was the thing to do, put it in there, and they go, but we can only do it, it's got to be this big. He goes, no, see this, and he gave him a model and let them see it, and he said, that's what we got to go for, and they're going, we can't do that, and he goes, do it. Let's go for it. And they figured out how to do it. I mean, John Kennedy did that in the famous thing of, let's go to the moon and send them there and come back safely and all that. And we thought, oh my goodness, can we do that? Yes, we're going to go for it. There were some prices we had to pay. You know, in that program itself, we lost 3 good people, you know, but we kept going at it and eventually we did it. You know, and so I think that if we have that vision, we can see things happen and we start putting in the details of what we need to do to make it happen. How we communicate, I think, is going to, first of all, be a non-technical issue. We've got to be able to see it and we've got to have the burning desire. What was it that, I think it was Ericksen said that if you have a strong enough why, you can figure out any how. And I think that's the most important. And now we have wonderful tools. Now, yeah, we'll bring those and we'll get the wonderful engineers and people that are great with video and all kinds of 3D holographic images and beep, 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 you know, whatever they do, you know, bouncing off satellites and all those things. But I think what we just say is, that's what we want. Like, for example, I feel like it is absolutely, excuse the word, stupid for us to run around going, oh gee, we don't have enough fuel, we don't have this, and we're sitting with cars on these black asphalt things, putting pollution into the atmosphere, when all we want to do is get people from here to there. And I think we have to say, this is really dumb. Come on, there's better ways to do this. I mean, maybe by putting people to live here in a higher building, or maybe we do it this way, or maybe we start saying, let's really explore this thing called solar, and then wind, and then geothermal. And yeah, we're going to still use oil because we need to for a while. We're not going to throw it away tomorrow, but let's start moving towards something that's a little bit better. Have that vision. And let's see it and let's do it the way that it works, which is generally competing enterprises going after this, trying to come up with a solution. That works over and over. We've shown it throughout history and we've shown it internationally. It doesn't matter where it is. And it's like a scientist, we have to look at what works, not just what justifies our political or philosophical bent. My why is because I want to make the world a better place. I want people to live in harmony and peace, and I don't mean that in some goofy 60s, like we are the world kind of thing. I mean, really, we can do it. Come on, let's do this so we stop shooting. I mean, look at war. Even if you win at a war, you lose. Because you've got death and destruction and all that. My model is not so much a business as war. You often hear that, like, we're going to go out there and we're going to fight those guys. It's literal war out there. We've got to take that and we're going to win the game and beat the bad guys and they're the enemy. And so I go, no, guys, that's not a really good metaphor. I grew up in the Midwest in America, in farm country. I mean, way out in the country. We still, where I grew up, they still have a dirt road there. It's not been paved. So it's way out in the country. We were not on a farm, but my friends all around were. And so I look at farming as a much better metaphor for business. First, you have to study the soil. You have to study what's going on. What should we plant? What's the market saying? Do they want more corn or soybeans or turnips or what, bananas? What do they want? What does the market want? What can we do best here? You know, I grew up in the Midwest in Michigan, didn't grow a lot of bananas. You know, not a good thing. But we had a lot of Michigan peat moss, and that was good for other things. Then you had to go out and sow the seeds. Well, in business, you have to do that. You have to lay out a lot of ideas. You have to lay out a lot of ground. Then you have to till the soil first. Then we plant it. Then once you've got that, you're not done. You got to keep nourishing it. And that is done with water, manure. I've discovered there's a lot of that in business too. And I think they have some other terms for that too. I don't know if those terms have made it elsewhere, but got that. And then you got to protect it too, because varmints will be coming in trying to steal what you got once it starts coming up, you know, and you got storms and all that. So it takes a lot of work. A farmer's job is never done, and that's what you're doing in business too. And then comes harvest. When those come through and they go, we want to do business with you. It's like, yes, right, and you do a great job, you become a better person, they become a better person because you're working together, but then you always take the best of what you've got with the crop and you put that back for next year, the seed corn, so that you're sowing again and it continues the next time. So I think a good metaphor is really we're relationship farmers. We build relationships in business, we're farming. Let's take the war thing and maybe put that over here. Maybe for a bygone era, we'll put it back there with Og and going, ooh, ooh, spears, you know. Well, that's kind of what they're doing today when they're doing it. Now, yeah, we got to protect ourselves and all that. But maybe let's see if we can get around that. Maybe by banging our fists on a conference table rather than shooting bullets at each other. Any last thoughts? This has been really good. It's enjoyable to be with you. And I would say let's each work at what we can do to become better personally, but then by doing that, we'll make a better world also. It's unique for each person. What works for me, what works for someone else is not necessarily going to work for you. You've got to look at what works for you and start reading. You don't have to create all this on your own. Read the classics. There's a reason we call them classics. They're really good. You know, I'm talking about putting time into that versus the normal daily newspaper or TV. TV is just like, this breaking news just in, and suddenly we're all going, oh, no, Martha, come over here. Something bad just happened. Look at that on TV. Woo! You know, instead, one of the smartest things I did about 5-6 years ago, I got rid of TV. I don't even have a TV. Canceled cable. I remember the other day, the good folks at my cable company, I get it for my internet access, and I use it for the phone. They say, we've got a special going right now that you can get HBO and Showtime and blah, blah, blah for this half off, and we'll do it. And I said, ma'am, thank you very much, but you know, I don't think I can afford that. Well, we got a discount here. I go, ma'am, you don't understand. If you gave me every service you have now and every service you're going to have for the next 10 years for free, I couldn't afford it. Because there's a lot of books I haven't read yet. And there's a lot of wonderful people I want to talk to. And there's a lot of other things I'm sure there's some good things on TV. But I don't have time for those B and B- activities. I've got to focus on the A and A+ activities. And I would say to each person watching, what is it that's an A+ activity for you? Sit down. This requires hard thinking. And I'll bet you it's probably not that TV show. Think about the TV shows you've seen in the last 30 days. How many of them would you honestly say, oh yeah, that was an A+ activity? Come on, get real. Versus that quality conversation you had with a loved one, or that really good book you read. Those kind of things. Go for the best and never give up.